What's going on, guys? Welcome to your 16th Android tutorial. And I've realized that you guys have matured quite a bit in the Android world over the past 15 tutorials. I think it's about time to tell you guys about the life cycle of the activity class. And such an idiot. Alright, what we're going to do is talk about the life cycle of the activity class, like I said, because what happens now is we had our application run, but still our splash screen is there. If we hit the back button, it's going to go back to our splash activity, and we don't want that because, we want our splash activity to basically kill itself after it's been displayed for the most part, because it's taking up some memory, or it potentially could take up some memory, so we're going to free up some of that memory for the most part. And that brings us to the life cycle of an activity. Now, I looked up the Android developer page. This is a great resource for you guys to use. Just search activity and it'll go to the life cycle of the activity. That's where you guys can find this. I'm just going to talk through kind of the life cycle and which methods are important for the most part. So here's what happens. An activity starts. Our splash screen, for example, starts. Then it calls this onCreate method. That's where we set up our thread and we set up our layout, our set content view. We set up some of all of those type of variables. And then it also calls the onStart method after it calls the onCreate method. Then it calls the onResume method. Then our activity actually starts running. That's when the user can touch the buttons that we have set up and interact with our activity. See, it has to call all three of those methods before activity actually starts. Now, if our activity is running and we get a text message, or for example, if our splash activity starts a new activity, the splash activity is going to go through an onPause and basically go through, when it's no longer visible, it's going to go through call an onStop method. Or yeah, so basically the most important one is the onPause. But if our activity gets shut down, it's going to call the onPause, onStop, and onDestroy. So for example, if you guys are creating a game and the person gets a text message right in the middle of the game, you might want to have, a method or setting up some variables or some methods that will save the data within an onPause method, because it will call that onPause method before anything else happens. So that's kind of the way that you want to think about it, is you can set up some last minute or save points or something within this onCreate method, or within this onPause method. And then once our activity gets started back up, it's going to go through this onResume method again before it starts running. So the only method that from our activity class that we are familiar with is this onCreate method. But we're going to kind of use some of these other methods as well. But what I want to show you guys I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here. What I want to show you guys is that we're going to use this onCreate method, but the only other two methods that are really important for the most part is this onPause method and this onResume method, because even if our activity gets destroyed, it's going to go through this onPause method before it goes through these methods as well. So we might as well set up everything within this onPause method and we won't have to worry about these. And also the onResume method, we can set up some of our resume methods or variables that we need to set up before activity starts again. So those are going to be the three basic methods that we're going to use for activities in the future. But as for our splash activity, we're going to get into that right now. So open up your splash activity and hit enter right here, so we only have one bracket left. This is for our whole class. This one is for our starting method. And again, we're just going to right click, go down to source, override implement methods, and again through the activity tab we can find the method called onPause. So this is where we're going to kind of make our splash activity kill itself, so to say, because we're just evil like that. So the way we can do that is hit finish. It's just a simple method, and it's basically going to finish the splash activity, get rid of it, and it's going to be gone forever for the most part until our user starts up our activity or our application again. So pretty simple, but what again is happening is when this splash activity starts, because it's the launcher item, it's going to go through this onCreate method, then it's going to run, and then basically what happens is when we call this start activity right here, the splash activity is going to call this onPause method because it's going behind the starting point activity that's being created. So it's going to call this onPause method real quick, and that's where we're just going to finish our class. So we're going to say, hey, destroy yourself, finish yourself. And hopefully that made sense and you guys kind of get the structure of how the life cycle works for the most part, and kind of what these methods mean, because I haven't really explained what the onCreate method is for the most part. So hopefully you guys like that tutorial and have a little bit better understanding of the activity class and how that works. So thanks again for watching. Hope you have a good